Hey guys, it's Melissa here from melissaoatman.com. Welcome to another episode of Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness, a weekly podcast devoted to all things spirituality and self-improvement. I am so delighted you're here with me today. Today we're going to be talking about meeting the universe halfway and letting go of fear. So many of us want to manifest all of these amazing things in our lives, but we don't do anything to really go towards that. And I believe that one of the reasons is that fear keeps us stuck. So we get so far and then we stop. And the universe is begging us, meet me halfway. We're trying to work with you. We're trying to provide everything for you. We're working behind the scenes on your behalf, but you have to at least meet us halfway, which means you have to let go of the fear sometimes and learn how to trust the universe. So today we're going to talk about why it's important to meet the universe halfway, how to let go of fear and start taking those small steps towards your dreams. Before we get started with today's episode, I wanted to tell you a little bit about a program that I just ran across, and it's called Shortform. And if you're a book reader and a book lover like I am, my bookshelves are full of books. But if you're like me, sometimes you get a book and you don't really end up enjoying it as much as you thought you would. And then there are other times you find books and you just can't put it down. That's how I am, and I hate wasting money on books I'm not really going to read. Shortform is the world's best guide to nonfiction books. It's like a super-powered book summary. It's super detailed and it covers all of the book's key ideas. It helps you to take away ideas that you've wanted from books that you wanted to read and to learn those ideas on an even deeper level. What's great about it for me is that Shortform is a way for me to look at different books and get a summary to see if it's something that would even click with me. And I've gone through and I've looked at several books that I was interested in reading, and I found that there were two of them that I was like, I don't really think that clicks with me. But then I found another book that I really enjoyed, and so I ended up buying that book. So it's a great way to go through and look at a bunch of different books at once and really get to the core of the book. The really great thing about it is that there's a link in my show notes and you can get a 20% discount and a free trial. So if you click on the URL that you'll find in the show notes, you get a free trial and a 20% discount. You really can't beat a free trial. So go ahead and sign up for your free trial today and find your next book. And it's as easy as that. Also, speaking of books, my new book, Beautiful Mourning, is now available on Amazon. If you know anyone who has experienced grief, of course, spoiler alert, we all have. But if you know someone who is in the middle of their grief journey and maybe having a tough time, my book, Beautiful Mourning, is a guide through working through grief with more grace and ease. If you would like to pick up a copy, they are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Apple Books. And the audiobook is under review by Audible. I'm hoping that will be out really soon too. So stay tuned for the release date for that. All right, so back to the topic at hand, meeting the universe halfway. So I know that many of you are out there hoping to manifest your best life. And I'm one of those people too, right? Every day I sit down and I think about what are my goals for my life. I want my podcast to grow. I want my audience to grow. I want to help people. I want to write more books. I want my books to be successful because I want them to help people. I'm always looking at what is it that I want? What's my next step? What am I going to do next? And oftentimes I get to a place where I feel stuck and I'm not sure what's the next best step to take, right? I don't really know. What I do know is that I have learned to really trust the universe and trust the messages that I get, because I'm not an expert publisher. I don't know all the things. I knew nothing about self-publishing before I published this book. What I did know is that I could ask my team, bring me people who could help me. And they did that in the form of a mentor who came in and we became friends. And this mentor said, hey, go to, this particular website and put out there what you're trying to do and hire other people to help you. And you can do this and it's affordable and it's a great alternative for trying to do it all yourself. And that was such a blessing because I found people who were able to do the bulk of the work for me that I didn't know how to do. And they were able to steer me in the right direction and help. Now, I know you're saying, well, what does that have to do with this? What it has to do with this is that if I hadn't asked the universe, bring in people who can help me, put me on the right path, show me what is the next step, I would still be sitting here stuck and paralyzed in fear, not knowing what to do, knowing I had these ideas, but not knowing how to bring them about. And honestly, my whole life would be that way if I chose to let fear keep me stuck. I wouldn't have gone back to school when my kids were little. I wouldn't have traveled like I have. I wouldn't have done so many of the things. I wouldn't have started this podcast. You just have to be willing and able to let go of the fear just a little bit. And I know that you're out there saying to yourself, well, that sounds easier said than done. And I understand. But here's the thing. You can let go just a little bit. Whenever I say you need to take steps, or you need to do this, or you need to do that, I don't mean you have to completely redesign your life in one day. I'm not talking about that. What I am talking about is being willing to show the universe that you're willing to take steps, even if they're baby steps, in trusting the universe or going towards your dreams. Just one small step. You have to be willing to let go of the known a little bit and what's comfortable a little bit, because change and transition is often uncomfortable, and it's supposed to be. That is where we learn and that is where we grow. I've been pulling messages. If you don't know, I do readings on TikTok and YouTube, and the last couple of days, I've been pulling these messages about transition. I've had the death card come out, and here's the interesting thing. I know so many readers, when they pull out the death card, they just want to put a negative spin on everything, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's the death card. Yes, the death card means usually that something's ending, but I don't see it as a bad thing, because for me, oftentimes when it said something was ending, it was something that needed to end because it was making me miserable. Whether it was a bad job, bad relationship, whatever. It's a transition that's coming in to bring you closer to where you want to be. And I always believe in putting a positive spin on the tarot cards anyway. They're giving you messages, but shouldn't these messages give you hope? Shouldn't they be pointing you in the right direction? Of course they should. You need to let go of the fear and putting that negativity on everything. Yes, change happens. Yes, it makes you uncomfortable. It is not a bad thing. It's coming in to teach us a lesson. It's coming in to show us what we need to let go of so that we can move into our full power. That's why it comes in. So you need to let go of that fear a little bit. And in my channeling, I asked these questions. I asked, what do you need the collective to know right now? And what I got were actually questions back, which I thought was super interesting, and you gotta love the universe. But the universe said, ask yourself the following questions. Why do you feel so stuck? What is it that you're really afraid of? And what's one small step that you could take in the right direction? I know that letting go of fear can be the biggest obstacle or hurdle to overcome. Most of you are stuck in the fight, flight, or freeze mode because you've experienced a lot of trauma in your life and you've just been in survival mode for so long. And that's understandable. You know, I too also was in survival mode for a long time in my life. But one thing that I know is that when you get stuck in that survival mode where you just don't move, because most of us get stuck in that freeze mode, right? We don't do anything. Nothing awesome or amazing can happen in your life because you're just staying as you are. What you need to do is really face your fears head on and ask yourself this question. If everything went right and everything worked out the way that I wanted it to, what would that look like and feel like? Often the fears that we place on ourselves are irrational and they're things that would never actually happen. When we allow ourselves to finally feel what it would feel like for all of our dreams to come true, We understand that it's worth taking a risk because even if it doesn't happen exactly as you want it to, the outcome will be so much better than staying stuck and miserable where you are. So go back to that question. What is it that I'm afraid of? I want you to ask yourself that question. Really sit with that. What is it that I'm afraid of? And then I want you to ask yourself, is this rational? Could this happen? Most of the time, the answer is no. And if there is something that could happen that maybe you're hoping to avoid by not taking a risk or not moving forward, are there things that you can do to mitigate that risk? So are there things that you can do to minimize the chances of that actually happening? One of the things, for example, is let's say that you want to leave a bad relationship and you're worried that you're not going to make it financially if you do. That was an issue that I had to work through whenever I was leaving my ex-husband. I wasn't working. I stopped working to stay home and take care of our twins because it was more cost effective than actually going to work because childcare was so expensive. So one of my fears was, am I going to make it financially? So how did I get over that fear? What did I do for that? I came up with a plan for how I was going to get out there and make money again. And yes, luckily I had family members who were there to help and to support me. And I was able to rely on them. And I know not everybody has that, but I did. And a lot of you do have a team of support, whether it's friends or family, that you can rely on. And that's one of the things, asking for help. A lot of people don't want to do that. They feel like that makes them feel weak. But we were put into a community for a reason. Asking for help, although a lot of people don't want to do it, it's necessary sometimes. And it's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength to know that you can't do everything on your own. So asking others for help. You could also, and this, I know I've talked to other people who have done this, is slowly start putting money away into a different account and start making a savings for themselves so that when they have the money and they're ready, they can do it. And this is what I'm talking about with small steps. The small step is opening that account, putting $10 in that account, putting this in that account. It's if you're wanting to make a career transition, getting a catalog from the school, looking at what it would take to enroll, trying to figure out the class schedule. These are the small steps that the universe is asking you to take in order to show that, hey, this is what I want. If you put that little tiny energy forward and say, forget fear for a minute, I like to look at fear as an excitement, okay? It doesn't have to be a paralyzing thing. I remember when I was little, I took a lot more risk than I do now, and I think we all probably did because we didn't have that fear instilled in us. But when you would go, like, for example, wanted to jump off the diving board in the pool, I would be really nervous and I would be a little afraid. But as a kid, that fear actually propelled me to do what I wanted to do because it was exciting. And if as adults we could harness that fear in that way that we did as kids again, if we could look at it not as paralyzing, but instead as propelling us forward, like I have to do this because it's an exciting thing. And life is so boring and mundane if I keep doing the same thing over and over again. If I try something new, it's going to be an adventure. And it's going to bring me blessings and bring me to my happy place if I just take that step. And so that, I think, is what we need to do to propel us forward, to take that action. You know, the universe just wants us to meet the universe halfway. And part of that, too, is learning how to trust the universe. How do we trust the universe? If you look back in your life, and I've done this many times, in times where you weren't sure how you were going to make it and you prayed and then all of a sudden something just showed up for you. To me, that's proof. That's proof number one that the universe provides and that the universe is working behind the scenes on our behalf. It's going to require you to let go of that inner chatter sometimes. And you might say, well, how do I do that? You need to get balanced. You need to be grounded. And there are so many ways we can do that. And I have other podcast episodes talking about how to do that. But one of the things that I like to do is to do that EFT, emotional freedom technique, or tapping. And there are tappings on YouTube to let go of fear. guided meditations to let go of fear. You want to raise your vibration because it's going to help you feel better too. And again, a lot of ways to do that: listening to positive music, listening to those solfeggio tones. Again, you can search for that on YouTube. Journaling to get out what you're feeling, getting out those emotions. All of those things are going to help you to become a little more focused and grounded. And really, a lot of that fear and the anxiety, trauma changes our brain. And it's those mindfulness practices that we do that can help us to kind of come back to a place of center. Because when you're all over the place and your energy is not balanced, that can cause you to go completely out of control with your thoughts. We know how that is, right? You go down that negative rabbit hole and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And once you get that far, it's really hard to come back. I always like to compare it to in a swimming pool when we would make the whirlpool, you run around in one direction and then you go to change, and it's really, really hard to change because you've been walking in that direction for so long. That's the same way with negative thoughts. So it's really important to be mindful and aware of your thoughts and to get a hold of them. Write them down and really look at it. What are you telling yourself? Is it rational or not? And those are your fears coming out. Okay, it's telling me I'm not good enough. Well, then we need to address that. Why do you feel like you're not good enough? And maybe then that is your sign that you need to start working on your self-love and do that first before you then tackle that next thing. Really look at what it is you're saying to yourself. I think it's so important. And a lot of times we don't pay any attention to that. So what are you telling yourself? We need to address that now. And if it's self-love you need to work on, I have that 10-day intensive self-love course. It's available if you just go to my website and go to my offerings page. You can get there and order it, and it's all online. And right now it's on sale for $14.99. It's normally $20, so take advantage of that. Go check that out. The link to my website will be in the show notes. But work on that. There are things that we are needing to work on. For some people, it's forgiveness. Some people need to forgive themselves for the mistakes they think they've made and let go and let that go. Again, it's going to be different for everyone, but asking yourself those questions that I originally talked about. Why do you feel stuck? What are you afraid of? And what is one step that you could take in the right direction? Because the universe is screaming to us, we're trying to meet you halfway. We're trying to work on things behind the scenes on your behalf. You just have to do your part. And so that is what this is all about. It's working with the universe and doing your part. And I wanted to pull some cards for you today to give you some more guidance. And so the first one that came out, and this is from Angela Rose's deck, is Meet the Universe Halfway. Are you willing to say yes to your best life? Are you willing to put down the excuses? It may feel uncomfortable doing something unknown, but it is so worth it. Trust the unseen. There is something magical waiting for you to say yes to so it can show up for you. When you meet the universe halfway, it will support you and fill in the other half. Do not worry about the hows. Leave that for the universe. Exactly. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to know the hows. I did not know the hows when I first went to publish my book. I had no idea what I was doing. And the universe said, here it is, step by step. It just showed up. And I can't explain it other than it just did. Trust the universe. So take a risk. Take one small step in the direction of your dreams. There's a mantra that goes with this card. It's courage is bravery. There is magic in the unknown. Say that to yourself. There is magic in the unknown. The next card coming out is balance. When we feel connected to our mind, body, and soul, we feel more balance in our life. The only way to feel balanced is to create it. Only say yes to things if it feels like a soul yes. Do one thing today to feel balance and harmony in your life. Do you need a massage for your body? Meditation for your mind? A walk in nature for your soul? Do you need to say no? Keep your yeses as sacred. And the mantra that goes with this card is, I feel balanced when I honor what I need most. Balance is so important. Like I said, if you're not in balance, your thoughts are going to take over. You need to be present in the moment and be balanced. The next card is, you have survived 100% of the obstacles in your life. You've got this. Give yourself credit. You've come so far in life. Keep going. List all of the obstacles that you have overcome. Claim your strength to yourself and the world. I love that because that's what I said. The universe wants you to look back in your life and see how far you've come. You've already done this so many times in your life. You can keep going. You can do this. The mantra that goes with this card is, I will keep going. I was born to shine. And lastly, and I love this, and you can't make this stuff up, this is what comes out, fear is a liar. It's important to know that most of us think we are not enough or we are too much. You are not alone in feeling this way. Most of us also feel scared of trying new things, terrified of life not working out, or afraid we won't succeed. If you're feeling any of these things, you are normal. I'm here to tell you that these are fears, but they are not true. If you have an idea or a feeling about something or a dream, then it is for you. Are you going to let fear dictate your life, or are you willing to step into your greatness? Name your fears. What are they? Have a releasing ceremony. Tear up the page or burn it safely. If you feel afraid, confront your fears. I love that. I love that idea of listing your fears and then confronting them and saying that I am not allowing you to take over my life today, and then burning the list safely or tearing it up, because it's like you take away its power. It no longer has power over you. The mantra that goes with this card is, today I will confront my fear and stand in my power. Exactly. It's time to take back that power. It's time to meet the universe halfway. It's time to confront your fears and to let go of what's keeping you stuck and holding you back. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You simply need to take one step in that right direction. Ask your angels and guides and the universe for guidance. You can even ask them, like I did, to send people into your life who can help you. And then take that next step, whatever it is, that small step. Be willing to take that step and watch the universe meet you halfway. All right, guys. Well, I hope that this resonated for you. I hope you have a beautiful week. If you want to work with me, there are so many ways that you can work with me. I do card readings. You can book a half-hour session. I have online courses. I also have coaching sessions, so you can work one-on-one with me if there's anything you want to work on. And I offer healing sessions. All of those are available on my website at melissaoatman.com. You can purchase your sessions from the website and then contact me to schedule them. My book, Beautiful Mourning, and my first book, Beautifully Broken, are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Apple Books. So Beautifully Broken is my story of surviving a toxic relationship and rebuilding my life and my self-love. And Beautiful Mourning is my story of grief and how I lost my mom to pancreatic cancer 2 years ago. It is how I handled the grief, and I also give you tools and tips for getting through your own grief journey with more grace and ease. So those are available now if you would like to purchase a copy. I want to thank you all for your support. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you have a great week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.